Hi, my name is Sparrow. I am the lead illustrator for Dropkick Comics, and today I'm going to be answering some questions. The visual style started 2-3 years ago, so there was a bit of a change, but it was always this cartoony, slightly manga style that I had developed for years and years after drawing for a while. This is how it started. This is where we are now. I try to keep it in a nice balanced area between completely cartoony and very realistic, so I get to have that spectrum where I can jump between things. The funny thing about this is that Anthony has aphantasia, which means he can't picture things in his head, but I have the opposite of that, where constantly I have 10 different versions of everything happening in my head. So when he delivers me just the script, I take it and I immediately have a vision in my head for how I want things to go. Sometimes he will even mention, I want this fight scene to have this moment, and I'll incorporate that. But I take a lot of inspiration from the world around me, besides the stuff in my own head. So Kat is modeled after my sister in a lot of different ways, and I try to make sure that none of the characters have too much of similarities between each other. I don't know if there's a specific page that was the hardest to draw. I mean, obviously a lot of the splash pages, a lot of the full body are very difficult for me just because I'm normally drawing like bust up. Anything that was a little out of my comfort zone. A lot of the action scenes were also out of my comfort zone. If you're familiar with my comic history, a lot of it used to be just cats. I have a lot of experience drawing cats fighting, but not a lot of experience drawing humans in pretty intense battle. I have a lot of experience drawing humans going about their day, posing, doing cool stuff like that, but action-wise, I had to learn a lot for that. Honestly, there have not been any unique challenges. I mean, maybe if we were both writers, there would have been an issue, but the fact that I am the illustrator and that's my lane that I go down, and then he is the writer and that's his lane that he goes down, there feels like there isn't much of any conflict between us. We're able to understand each other. He trusts me on what I know how to draw, and I trust him on what he knows how to write. And the ways he excels in writing are often the ways that I struggle in writing. So it's been very helpful to let him take the reins on that and then understand where he's coming from and then putting it on the page. If anything, I think sometimes the grammatical errors are what are a challenge, but he's good about that, so. Mood and atmosphere changes in Amplified. You'll notice that anytime Billy talks to Ollie, Billy's face is a lot younger. He looks more like a kid, but anytime he's on his own, doing his stuff, trying to fight off people, trying to understand the world around him, he looks a little bit older. So I try to keep that kind of consistent where the mood shifts into this brother story where you can clearly see the age difference, but when it's just the Piper, it becomes like this cool, smooth, but still kind of gritty superhero story. For action versus more emotional moments, action, and you'll see this a lot with a lot of different comic artists, the line art tends to be rougher, sketchier, messier, all of that just to make it seem more blurred. And you'll have several different shots happening all at once. Different things will take up more space, but when it's an emotional scene, the face is probably going to take up the most space. There will be more shots of just someone standing there, just their face. I brought backup with me for this one. Some comics that inspire me are Rapunzel's Revenge, which is a Western Rapunzel retelling, and then 2 science fiction stories. So we have Zeta the Space Girl. This is huge for me when I was a kid. This was like my guy. This is the person. And obviously I have all 3. We also have On a Sunbeam. This, you kind of see this similar, like not entirely monochromatic, but it takes certain colors and emphasizes them. Oh, I love this book so much! Changes depending on the scene that they're in. Oh, so good. When it comes to art in particular, I have 4 favorite artists that I tend to draw a lot of inspiration from. One is Isla Dari or Sophia Moore. Her vibrant style is just out of this world. I'm obsessed. All of the action poses so cool. Her steampunk May was crazy. Also Sibyline, she mainly works with gouache, traditional, and her design is so pristine and her color palettes are amazing. Cassandra Callan, she's just the comic artist that I go to, especially her hairstyles are amazing. and Loish, who is like a celebrity within the digital design illustration community. Oh my god. She's taught me a lot with the lasso tool, which has been really helpful. I don't know if I have a favorite character to draw. I have a lot of favorite things about each character, like both Kat and Frankie. I love drawing their hair. Kat in general has a lot of different expressions that I love to draw on her. She will have the most unrealistic, like most cartoonish style. Sideswipe's constant two-fingered salute is one of my favorites to draw, and also his scarf is so dynamic whenever he's in the middle of moving around. But honestly, the Piper's design has been my favorite to work on and finish and then draw, because it's pretty simple, but it looks complex enough that it always catches my eye. And I think Anthony will also agree that we are both very proud of this design. That was like the first thing that we really designed for this, and it just turned out really well. Originally, I was working in traditional formats with, unfortunately, lined notebook paper. That was my primary comic area. Since then, I've moved on to Procreate. It's kind of like Photoshop, just smaller. They've added in animation elements. It's right there on my hand. I hate drawing with a tablet where I have to look up at the screen and my tablet's down here. It doesn't compute with me in the way that I want it to. So having it feel like paper has been very helpful to me. I really like that they took a definitive stance on generative AI and said, no, that we're not going to support that. I think that's really awesome, so I'm really happy to continue working with them. And I normally use all of their brushes, but I also have used True Grit's brushes for more of a traditional comic style, and Monero has these amazing brushes that have been life-changing for me in terms of the more logistic part of comic making. I'm not going to be that guy that tells you to just practice, 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 even though it's true. Practice, practice all the time, whenever you can, even the bad stuff, because the bad stuff tells you what you don't like about your work and what you want to change. But I will say, follow the artists that you like. Figure out why you like those artists. Make sure they are in your feed so you can see them and practice from them and steal from them. But also, mainly, don't bite off more than you can chew. And what I mean by that is when you take on a project, make it small enough that you can actually complete it, because so many artists, comic artists in particular, have made their start from a 5-page comic that shows the people that are interested in hiring them, A, your drawing is amazing and your formatting is so cool, but also B, you can complete work. You're not just sitting on a bunch of works in progressy, whatever. So having that there, that's also been a huge booster for me, because then I have gone on to bigger projects like this and went, look, I can do this because I did it. I did it in the past and I've learned things from it. And I know all the things that I've learned from this, I can now apply to this thing. And I feel not terrified. Still a little alarmed, but not terrified. Setting fake deadlines for yourself also helps. Just making sure that you feel like this is reachable. If it's too much, you're gonna let it go and you're going to abandon it and nothing gets done. So start off a little small and finish that first and see where that gets you and see what you learn.